December 4, 2023, News Report 1. Former Secretary-General of Hong Kong's Demosisto, Agnes Chow, announced on December 3 that she will go into exile in Canada. Notably involved in the 2019 anti-extradition protests, she was sentenced to 10 months and released in June 2021. Since her release, the police confiscated Chow's passport, though she was not charged, only placed under bail conditions. On Instagram, Chow stated that due to the situation in Hong Kong, personal safety, and her mental state, she decided to forfeit bail and go into exile, possibly unable to return to Hong Kong for a lifetime. Chow revealed that since her release in June 2021, she has been filled with fear and anxiety. Every 3 months, she had to report to the police, causing constant struggle with anxiety and worries. In July this year, she applied for a master's program at a Canadian university. The Hong Kong Police's National Security Unit requested her to write a repentance letter and visit Shenzhen to return her passport. In desperation, Chow went to Shenzhen under the surveillance of 5 Hong Kong national security officers. The day's itinerary included visiting Shenzhen's Reform and Opening Up exhibition and Tencent headquarters. She expressed this as a showcase of China's power. However, the condition for retrieving her passport was to visit a patriotic exhibition in China, which she considered a form of vulnerability. Agnes Chow, known as the Goddess of Democracy, has struggled with depression and post-traumatic stress disorder in recent years. Her mental and physical condition is highly unstable, often experiencing crying, breakdowns, and trembling. She deeply understands the preciousness of freedom from fear in the past few years. Although uncertain about the future, she knows she can finally speak her mind without worrying about arrest and do what she wants. On December 4, Agnes Chow gave an interview to Japanese TV Tokyo, her first public appearance since June 2021. In the interview, she appeared worn out and frail, expressing in Japanese that she has decided not to return to Hong Kong and is considering seeking political asylum. She hopes to continue drawing global attention to the situation in Hong Kong, emphasizing that many Hong Kong people are still suffering and oppressed in their pursuit of freedom and rights, hoping the world won't forget them. News Report 2. The Israel Defense Forces stated on December 3 that the ground operation against Hamas has expanded to the entire Gaza Strip, with troops engaging Hamas militants in various areas. Israeli forces requested residents in the Gaza Strip to further evacuate. In the southern part of Gaza, the Israeli Air Force dropped leaflets over Khan Yunis, warning that the area is currently a dangerous combat zone and urging residents to evacuate to the southern border city of Rafah or coastal areas. Hamas's Islamic Jihad organization announced on December 2 that it launched rockets at several Israeli cities, including the capital, Tel Aviv. Israel is determined to destroy Hamas. According to the Financial Times, Israel plans for a war with Hamas lasting up to a year or longer, divided into 2 stages. The first stage, from the start of the war until early next year, primarily focuses on ground operations. The second stage, from early 2024 to the end of next year, involves gradually reducing the intensity of attacks as Israel prepares for a new post-war order in Gaza. According to Israel's operational plan, Israeli forces will penetrate the southern part of Gaza with the goal of eliminating 3 Hamas leaders, including the top leader Sinwar, the commander of Khan Yunis, and his deputy. Additionally, the Israeli army aims to strike 24 combat camps and tunnel networks of Hamas, achieving a decisive military victory and disrupting Hamas's governance and commercial capabilities. Currently, Israel has destroyed 10 combat camps of Hamas, killing 50 mid-level commanders and 5,000 armed fighters. Sources indicate that Israel's overall strategy is flexible, adjusting based on the progress of military operations, international pressure, and the situation of releasing Israeli hostages. On December 3, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris had a phone call with Israeli President Herzog and Palestinian Authority President Abbas. Harris reiterated U.S. support for Israel while expressing concerns about the potential escalation of tensions, including violent actions by Israeli extremist settlers. Additionally, the U.S. Central Command stated on Twitter that on December 4, 3 merchant ships flying the Panamanian flag were attacked by Houthi rebels with anti-ship missiles in the southern Red Sea international waters. The U.S. missile destroyer USS Carney was attacked by drones while rescuing the merchant ships, successfully shooting down 3 drones. One bulk carrier suffered severe damage and may sink. Since Hamas's attack on Israel, Houthi rebels frequently use missiles and drones to target Israeli interests, intercepted by U.S. military ships. News Report 3. The Liberty Times reports that the Chinese tugboat Ninghai Tua 5001 entered Taiwan's territorial waters off the western coast of Pingdong County on July 30, just 3 nautical miles from the shore. The Chinese tugboat claimed it needed to take shelter in Taiwan's territorial waters due to strong winds and rough seas, citing its small size and poor wind resistance. However, the tugboat has a displacement of 1,400 tons, making its claim of poor wind resistance less convincing. Taiwan's Coast Guard Administration promptly broadcasted warnings to drive away the Chinese tugboat's crew, asserting that this is the territory of the People's Republic of China, not Taiwan, and demanding it to leave. Subsequently, Taiwan's Coast Guard dispatched vessels, read out regulations, and requested mandatory boarding inspection. The Chinese tugboat circumvented Pingdong's Gooseneck Cliff, traveled north along Taiwan's east coast, and arrived along China's coast on December 2. The company to which the tugboat belongs has an online business domain that indicates the company can perform underwater operations. Therefore, Taiwan suspects this tugboat poses a national security risk in detecting hydrological information along Taiwan's coast. News Report 4. France's RFI reports that Finnish Minister for European Affairs Adler Karlas stated in a Belgian interview on November 30 that all evidence suggests that Chinese ships intentionally damaged the Baltic Sea natural gas pipeline, and the Chinese government is aware of it. The incident occurred on October 7 and 8, damaging the underwater natural gas pipeline connecting Finland and Estonia, as well as 2 telecommunications cables connecting Estonia and Sweden. Finland and Estonia have been investigating this incident. The investigation revealed that the involved ship is a container ship named XIN Emergence, registered in Hong Kong. The ship dragged an anchor across the Baltic Sea floor, cutting telecommunication cables and the natural gas pipeline. The Finnish Navy salvaged an anchor a few meters from the damaged pipeline, weighing 6 tons, belonging to the XIN Emergence. Adler Karlas stated that sailing a ship with an anchor trailing for hundreds of kilometers, the captain must have known everything, indicating it was intentional. However, no one has admitted responsibility so far. Currently, the XIN Emergence is en route to China. Finland and Estonia have requested China to send representatives to conduct an investigation. News Report 5. According to the Associated Press, China has stopped selling automotive urea solution to South Korea since November 30. Urea is an element produced from coke, oil, and natural gas, commonly used as a reagent in diesel engines to convert nitrogen oxide into ammonia and water. China produces about 64 million tons of urea annually, and South Korea relies on China for 90% of its automotive urea. Currently, South Korea's stock of automotive urea can last for 3 months. On November 17, the China National Fertilizer Industry Association issued a proposal for supply stability, suggesting restricting urea exports to prioritize meeting domestic demand. The South Korean government is understanding the situation and exploring countermeasures. South Korean ambassador to China Zhang In-ho stated that Chinese authorities requested assistance on December 1 to ensure that urea not yet loaded onto ships can smoothly clear customs. Analysts point out that China is responding to a demand from North Korea. South Korea's main cooperation in response to North Korea's launch of a military reconnaissance satellite is with the United States and Japan. The move to stop selling automotive urea to South Korea is seen as a means of responding to North Korea. However, this action may impact China's exports and lead to a vicious cycle, causing other countries to lose trust in China's supply. It is considered an unwise move. News Report 6. On December 2, the Taliban announced that its ambassador to China, Karimi, had arrived in Beijing, where he presented a copy of the national credentials to Hong Lei, director of the Protocol Department of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In September of last year, China appointed an ambassador to Afghanistan, becoming the first country to send an ambassador to the Taliban. Now, China has become the first country globally to accept a Taliban ambassador. A press release from the Taliban's Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that Hong Lei welcomed Karimi's arrival, promising to hold a special ceremony soon, during which Karimi will present the national credentials to Chinese President Xi Jinping. China has demonstrated a clear political stance in this matter, conveying the relationship and cooperation between the Taliban and the Chinese Communist regime to the world. News Report 7. Reuters reports that on December 4, Chinese President Xi Jinping met with Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko in Beijing. During the talks, Lukashenko emphasized the strong friendship between Belarus and China, stating that Belarus has been and will continue to be a reliable friend to China in the past, present, and future. He highlighted that this friendship has lasted for over 30 years. Xi Jinping, in turn, expressed China's willingness to continue strengthening strategic cooperation with Belarus, firm mutual support, and welcomed Belarus to actively participate in the Belt and Road Initiative, gaining more practical development opportunities. This meeting may be related to Belarus's relations with Russia. News Report 8. During the establishment ceremony of the Taipei campaign headquarters on December 3, Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, presidential candidate Tsai Ing-wen stated that the choice in this election is not between war and peace but about the people of Taiwan choosing dignified peace. She emphasized that everyone pursues peace, and no one wishes for war. Tsai Ing-wen urged voters to reflect on the actions of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, in Hong Kong before voting, calling on Taiwan not to seek a Hong Kong-style peace but to pursue a dignified and long-lasting peace to ensure long-term economic stability. Tsai Ing-wen pointed out that 4 years ago, she supported the Hong Kong anti-extradition protest movement, mentioning that Hong Kong activist Agnes Chow had set a good example for the people of Taiwan, making it clear what kind of peace they are pursuing. She emphasized that if one wants to seek true peace, they can go to mainland China, but she reminded people to take a look at the fate of those who remained in mainland China after the nationalist government retreated in 1949 to understand the actual situation. In addition, during a speech at National Taiwan University on December 4, Sun Xiaoya, director of the American Institute in Taiwan, AIT, Taipei office, stated that the United States supports Taiwan's democracy, and the next president of Taiwan should be decided by the voters without external interference. He emphasized that the United States will not take sides or have a preferred candidate in the Taiwanese elections and hopes for cooperation between the United States and the democratically elected president of Taiwan. Regarding recent speculation by the Kuomintang, KMT, about the nationality of DPP vice presidential candidates Xia Changting and People First Party, PFP, vice presidential candidate Wu Xining, Taiwan's Ministry of the Interior stated on December 4 that after reviewing, it confirmed that all three sets of government candidates, including Tsai Ing-wen, Xia Changting, and Wu Xining, are qualified, and none of them holds U.S. citizenship. This clarifies that the speculation about nationality is not based on actual circumstances. News Report 9. Data released by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, in the United States on December 3 indicates an increase in nationwide cases of influenza-like emergencies. Despite the increase in cases, hospitalization and mortality rates have not shown a significant rise. The U.S. government urges the public to get vaccinated promptly. Respiratory diseases are on the rise in 10 states in the U.S., with the highest cases reported in New York and Puerto Rico. Respiratory diseases are also notably increasing in South Carolina, Florida, Louisiana, and Texas. Respiratory infections typically include the common cold, flu, COVID-19, and other respiratory viruses. Elderly people are mostly infected with the flu or COVID-19, while children are mostly infected with respiratory viruses. Respiratory infectious diseases have been ongoing in China for several months with no signs of decline. Some parents report that their children are repeatedly falling ill, and in some cases, the illnesses are severe. There are reports that the Yuekong Code, in Guangdong Province and the Tianfu Health Pass, in Sichuan Province were relaunched on December 1, and Shanghai Pudong Airport requires incoming travelers to undergo nucleic acid testing while disinfecting the cabin of outbound planes. Additionally, the National Health Commission of China held a press conference on December 2. Xing Chao, Deputy Director of the Medical Administration Department of the National Administration of Traditional Chinese Medicine, stated that China will increase the supply of traditional Chinese medicine for medical treatment to cope with the peak of respiratory infections in children. Xing Chao also mentioned that they are organizing experts to develop a popular science guide to disseminate knowledge on the prevention and treatment of respiratory diseases in children to the public. News Report 10. The High Court of Hong Kong began hearing the Evergrande bankruptcy case on December 4. The judge requested Evergrande and related parties to directly discuss the restructuring plan, but the case was postponed again, marking the fourth delay. Evergrande's lawyers stated that the postponement is due to a lack of creditors actively seeking Evergrande's bankruptcy. Lawyers for the bankruptcy applicants opposed the delay, but the judge did not object. The judge requested Evergrande to revise the restructuring plan within the 5-week extension and engage in direct discussions with creditors. As of the end of October, Evergrande Real Estate had not repaid its maturing debt, amounting to $300 billion. Controversy surrounds the rule of law in Hong Kong in this bankruptcy case, with the court delaying the hearing multiple times, drawing societal attention. The court's decisions are seen as influenced by the Chinese government, leading to increasing skepticism about the rule of law in Hong Kong.